Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 2154 of What You Up To Now, documenting the journey. Originally, as I hopped online from the brick and mortar corporate world of business, I spent over a quarter century in corporate America in different capacities, primarily the quality function, leadership processes, systems, automation, how we do things, how we meet customers' expectations, how we provide the quality of products and services that we're selling to our customers, how we make sure that they are getting what they want and getting what they expect each and every time. And that involves, guess what? Everyone in the organization. I loved it because I got to poke my nose in everybody's business. I got to see how everything worked inside and out, forward and backwards, and report directly to the upper echelon, if not the CEO or owner of the businesses that I worked for or worked with. And so I like that. I always thought it was fun. I have a propensity, and I love the big picture aspect of different businesses and different industries, and so it afforded me the opportunity to see into them and decide what I did and did not want to participate in. On the outside of my professional corporate jobs, I always had a bunch of different businesses on the side, usually one or more businesses while working in corporate America, which gave me a whole lot of freedom to be myself and express myself and be true to myself as well as the corporation that I was working for. Or sometimes it was LLC, sometimes it was big privately held family owned businesses. Worked for a lot of different industries and businesses. So following my divorce, after my ex-husband and I, separated all of our assets, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I'm not going to go back into doing things that I was doing with my ex-husband. What do I want to do now? And I'd always been curious about the internet and the online world. And it, of course, wasn't a fad like it was when it first came out. And people were skeptical as to whether the internet would really change our lives or not. And now I think that we all know that the internet has absolutely, massively, drastically changed all of our lives, and will continue to do so. It's just like cell phones. We didn't think that our cell phones would be, although some great visionaries did know that pretty soon everybody's going to be carrying a computer in their pocket and have access to one another all the time. Hate to admit it, but sometimes I miss the pager days when you were not automatically connected to everybody and everything all the time. I think it was a lot less stressful, or a lot less attention sucking. It would be, I guess, how I describe it. So today, a couple pieces of content I created for Supersize Your Business. We talked about changing the goalposts. When we change the goal, when we change where the end line is, everything changes, right? But with respect to owning our own businesses, and actually we own our own lives and we're responsible for our own lives, we have the ability to change the goalpost, to change our end result, the thing that we want, anytime we want to. And I think we should be doing it all the time. We're just finishing up this year's annual challenge, which is the Get Your Goals annual challenge. And I've been working with goals since I was a young girl, because my father, thank you very much, by the way, Dad, instilled in my sisters and I the importance of setting goals, writing them down, and knowing what you're working toward and moving forward and progressing all the time. A lot of people, I think, are just going through the motions of living. And I've done that. I've done that in periods of my life where I'm just going through the motions, doing what I can do to survive and get by. And those were not the most fun, exciting, or wonderful times of my life. When we're living for other people's expectations or other people's shoulds, we find ourselves very stressed out, very unhappy in a lot of ways, and we can actually get sick and almost die, or we can die and still be lucky enough to be here talking. That's my personal experience. So talked about that and about where it came from. It's a relatively new idiom. It comes from British soccer, as well in Britain, as well as in the United States. It's used a lot with respect to businesses. And I find it's often used as an excuse. They moved the goalposts, therefore we didn't meet our projected profit margins. You see it a lot in news reporting and the media, and in annual reports and things like that. Well, this is why we didn't meet our objectives. Boop, 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 boop. And they're blaming all kinds of other things. And yeah, there's outside forces that impact all of us and all of our lives and all of our businesses. But it's up to us to decide and take personal responsibility for how we're going to respond to that. Think of the COVID pandemic. People that just sat and waited for the COVID pandemic to be over struggled the most during that time period, because it seems like it went on forever and they're still trying to force it down our throats today. And I think that history will tell us that the way it was handled was horrible and it had a lot of negative impacts on a lot of people. But there were still people that took that event and found ways to thrive and actually supersize and grow their businesses and their lives and to change things and to do things they'd always wanted to do that they didn't feel like they had permission to do or the opportunity to do because they were locked into the life that they had previously selected. If that makes sense. I totally can relate to it, but it doesn't mean I'm explaining it in a way that you can. Questions, hit me up on that. Our topic for the annual challenge today, we took a day off from our 2024 goal setting, and tomorrow we're going to review all 27 of the goals that we set so far as part of the last 10 days or so. We're working on next year's goals. Why? Because I want to make sure that I have my goalposts in mind for next year before I finish off this year's goals. I learned a long time ago that I'm one of those people that I love having goals, but as I get closer and closer and closer to knowing with 100% certainty that I'm going to achieve that goal, it starts to demotivate and decelerate for me, the motivation from within me, because I always want to be striving for the next thing that is for me, the next continuous improvement, the next progress down the road of me becoming a better version of myself. And so as I get toward the end of the year and I'm closer and closer and closer to achieving a goal, I need to set next year's goals. Number one, it gets me a jump start on the new year. Instead of waiting till the new year and then saying, okay, well, what do I want this year? I'm going to set some resolutions that I'm going to break in 2 weeks. I'd like to have it all framed out a week or so before the end of the year. And then New Year's Eve, I do go through this process again and I review, these are my goals, my priorities, what and how am I going to make sure that these happen throughout the course of the next year. So we've been working on that. Tomorrow we'll review that and we'll say, okay, we got 27 goals. 27 goals is outrageous for the vast majority of people. We're lucky if we can achieve 2 or 3 goals in a year because our goals are our big goals. So do we want to think that we're going to get 27? Yeah, no, probably not going to happen. I think as I'm looking at my year in review, and I'll review that next week as the new year is winding. As we're getting ready for the new year and this year is winding down, I always review, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what lessons did I learn, what can I do differently, what worked really, really well, and I want to continue doing that moving into the next 2024. But today we talked about and reviewed our lifeline exercise. This is like the end of the year review for our lifeline exercise, and I like to take time periodically, and we've done it once a month this year as part of the annual challenge. We've reviewed each of the different areas and aspects of a 9-part life framework that I use and teach and share with everybody because it works for me and works for millions of other people. Not compartmentalizing, but thinking about each area and aspect of our life and setting goals in it and managing it and doing things and automating them to make sure that we can get what we want. Because if we ignore, again, personal experience here, bad personal experience in most people's estimation, I had a sudden cardiac arrest because I did not, for a lot of years, take care of myself and my health and my stress and my physical well-being. And my dad used to have a saying, stop putting stuff in my little red wagon. Well, I realized exactly how much my little red wagon could take, what my capacity was, and when I overreached that limit and just shut down. And I don't ever want that to happen to me again or anyone else I love and care about. So we're talking about our lifeline exercise today, and we'll pop into goals tomorrow and review our 2024 goals, and we'll go through a process of how do I cut that down to a manageable number for me and for you. How do you cut it down to a manageable number for you? I keep all 27 goals. I guess I'm jumping ahead. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right. If I can help you anyway, ask. Otherwise, I'm continuing my holiday preparations. I actually got a lot of stuff done yesterday and helped one of my sisters with a really fun project. So that was cool, as well as getting all my usual things done. So a really good day yesterday. If I can help you, the busier I am, it seems, the more I'm available to actually do pop-in help and pop-up help, I call it. You can always reach me at pajamagrandma@gmail.com on the Voxer app, Voxer. It's a mobile app that's a walkie-talkie app, which for somebody with my personal physical vision challenges, it's perfect. It's not really a secret, but it's a secret to a lot of people. Anyway, have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.